Hello. Oh my god, the madness of the last hour. So I'm just going to get this up on here. So one of my best friends, well, two of my best friends, one lives in Dubai, Pete, and the other one lives in Helsinki, which is Matthew, or Tetley as we know him. And they arranged a Zoom. So there's me, Pete, Matt, and Kev, who's their friend from school, who I know as well, but we're not as close as the other two. So we're on a Zoom, and they're just the funniest people on the planet. So they we're laughing away. I'm cooking dinner. I'm cooking dinner while talking to them, because obviously I'd said I was doing this at 7:30, and I'd sort of forgot initially about. Oh God, I'd forgot initially about the the Zoom call. So I'm trying to cook the sauce and laughing at them, listening to them, inducting the conversation. Had to send Mark to the shop. Gas man came round. It was a complete nightmare. Anyway, but I'm here a couple of minutes late, but forgive me. So if you're on, just say hi. Can't see the comments on here. Okay, so I had a bit of a revelation this week, and let me turn that. Let me just do that. So if you're on, let me just turn myself down because that's horrendous. Yeah, so I had a bit of revelation because I had a couple of moments where during the week I was really fired up, like, "Hey, Nikki!" I was really fired up, like sort of how I'm feeling now. Like I was just, "Hey, Julie." I've got you on my phone, so I can see the comments on my phone, so I can't see them here. So I was just like, oh my God, like, and it took, one of them was because I said something to myself. I said this one sentence to myself, and I was like, it like jolted me into this like wicked space. And then the next time I was watching somebody else, shout out to my girl Tiffany Skiro. I was watching her live, and she was talking about this, and she's very spiritual, and she was talking about, and I was just like, oh. And I did a live in my Ever Evolving Woman place group, and I'd identified sort of like 3 stages of sort of the place that we get into as humans, and because that's sort of how I do things. Like I'm very, very self-aware. I'm always looking for what's working. Well, how can I connect the dots between those 2 things? Like, how can I turn this into something that I can teach? Like, that's basically my job, right? So I just live and try and be the best I can be, and then find out what works, find out what doesn't work, and then share it with you lot, right? So I was aware that over the last couple of weeks, I'd been in this sort of like different state. Wasn't that motivated. I had my eyebrows done today. They're a little bit intense. And my nails, pamper day. So I was in this sort of like, and for the last few weeks, I've just been in this like a bit of a, not meh state, but just not firing like I am now. And I was like, right, so what happens? Like, where do I remember first sort of feeling that way? And I did some journaling on it, and I was like, that's it. I was like, for me, and I don't know if you can identify with this, but for me, there's like 3 stages of my motivation, let's call it. So I've called it fire, but let's because when you're in fire mode, for me, that means complete alignment with what I'm doing, complete alignment with what I'm saying, feeling amazing, feeling motivated, feel like you can take over the world. Like, you all know that feeling. Like, if you watch my stuff, then you're the type of person that knows what that feels like, right? So I was like, isn't that interesting? I've not felt like this for quite a long time. So I was like looking at like, what are my states? So the first state I identified was numbing. Like, you get to the end of the day and you've absolutely no bloody idea what you've done. You haven't achieved anything. You've not really been connected. You've not really been present. You've just sort of like, you might have just sat and stared at your phone and scrolled, got sucked into that scroll situation. You might have just, it might be, and sometimes it's good to completely like zone out, Netflix series, whatever. So there's like this numb stage that, you know, quite a lot of people live in most of the time. So there's like this numbing stage where we don't really feel anything. We're here and we're communicating, but we're going through the motions. It's sort of like Groundhog Day. Hi, Jess. Hey, Anne. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Julie. Hi, Matt. So Matt was just on the live I was in. Lovely to chat. Love you. Always giggle. Matt Tet, as I know him, is one of the funniest people I know. And when I lived in London, we were the best of friends. And he now lives in Helsinki with his beautiful wife. And he's a teacher, and he's very funny. And I love him very much. Anyway, so I was like, I'd recognize these sort of 3 states. So I've got like numbing out, not really engaged, not really feeling anything, not really thinking anything, sort of not really. It's quite a nice state to be in sometimes because you're just like, you're not really worried about anything. You just sort of meh. And then there's the middle state, which I'm going to call no man's land, where you've got shit to do. You're showing up for that stuff. Like, you're there, you're present. You know what you've got to get done. You know what you're trying to achieve, what you're working towards. You know it, but there's something not quite right, and you're showing up for stuff. And this is where I've been for the last few weeks. So like, you're showing up and you're engaged and you're enjoying it, but there's not that energy about it. There's not that like fire about it. And then there's the fire stage, which is sort of how I'm feeling now. And the reason that I'm sort of feeling like this now is because I have intentionally created that. So I had a wicked chat with my friends. Like, I was thinking wicked thoughts. I was just like, right, I'm going to get into that energy for this live tonight. And I was like, I recognize that unless we're consciously aware of what state we're in, like, time passes, like weeks, months, years are going to go by unless we're conscious about it. And so I used to have to rely on other people to get me into that sort of, you know, and if I was in this state all the time, I'd be well annoying, and B, it would be exhausting, right? Because it does take obviously a lot of energy. However, as somebody who runs her own business, well, two businesses, runs her own business, works for herself, you know, what I believe brings people into my world and want to work with me is my energy, is the thing that you can't quite put your finger on. It's not just what you say, it's who you are when you're saying it, right? So it's sort of my job to be to be mindful of my state and to show my enthusiasm, because this is my enthusiastic state because I'm really enthusiastic about what I do, right? So I was just like, isn't that interesting? Because so I used to rely on external people. So if I listened to really good speakers, or if I read something really brilliant, or if I was like engrossed in something like a book that I was really enjoying, it would bring on that sort of, and then if that feeling of just like, come on, like no fear. And what I've noticed about it, the most powerful thing about it is that when I'm in this state, there's no fear. So if you look, I've been watching my lives and you're in my group, you know, I've talked in my group about, you know, I'd sort of developed my fear of going live on my personal page had come back because I'd been hanging out so much in my group. I'd sort of developed nerves again about showing up live on my personal page. And I was like, I need to rectify that. So that's sort of what started the whole, you know, introversion into that. But what I recognize is that when I'm in that state of feeling like on fire, just can achieve anything, want to take over the world, you know, that kind of energy, my fear goes. I was like, isn't that interesting? Like, why does that happen? And when I'm in that middle state, that sort of no man's land between numbing out and on fire, that is where I spend the majority of my time. So it's me looking at how I create that state on a more sustainable basis. And obviously, like I said, not all the time because that would be exhausting, but just making sure that I'm showing up for what I need to show up for in the best way possible. And so for you, you know, whatever you do, whether you're a teacher like Matt, or whether you are a coach like me, or whether you are just at work, you know, when you have a wicked day, like your day goes really quickly, you feel, you know, you're firing with everybody, your banter's good, like you're just in a great state and you really enjoy your job. If we could those feelings and those moments seem to be few and far between. It's just like, oh, you had a really great day today, and it's almost like that great day was given to us, and that, oh, it just happened that this day was given to me and it was really great. But that's not how it is all the time. But why can't it be? Like, why can't we actually create that kind of energy and connection to what we're doing more often than not, and not being this thing given to us from whoever, and we having to think that life is not, that's not normal, like that's not your normal. Does that make sense? So the things I've identified about what gets me into that state is connection to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, like the real connection to why I'm doing it. So Simon Sinek, who is somebody I absolutely love, he wrote a New York Times bestseller called Start With Why. He teaches incredible stuff on leadership. Like one of his YouTube videos literally broke the internet. He's amazing, amazing speaker. And the book is Start With Why. So it's like, when I think about that, and I absolutely love his work, it was like, in order to feel excited about what I'm doing, in order to feel, because I am excited about it, but there's a difference between being excited and feeling excited. So first of all, I have to connect into why I'm doing it. I have to secondly think about the point that, people who don't care what I'm doing or won't watch, and that's okay. Like the people that are watching are the people that want to, and the people that like what I do, and I'm doing it for them. I'm not going to be my energy will not be dictated by the people who I think don't like what I do, or that annoy me, that I find me annoying or whatever. Like, I'm not doing it for those people. I'm doing it for the people who, and I owe it to them to show up as my best self, and I owe it to them to show up, to give them that to show them that, this is what I want to convey, and this is the best way I can convey it, if that makes sense. So it's thinking about why I'm doing it. It's thinking great thoughts and like and not thinking about me, like taking myself out the equation. So at the end of the day, it isn't about me, how I look, what I say, anything about me. What I do is about the person that's listening and what they're going to get out of it. So when I completely take the attention off myself and stop worrying about fear and, what people think and all that, it allows me to be much, hi Nikki, it allows me to be much freer and show up as me. Do you know what I mean? So I want you to just think about, like, in your life, can you identify with that? Like, do you identify with this sort of apathetic, that word? Yeah, sort of apathetic state where we're just we're here, we're present, but we're not really firing, like we're not fully leaning into our potential, because and it's always underlaced with fear. That there's always fear in between the lines of that. When you're completely numbing out, and also when you're firing. And so I encourage you to think about when you've had days like that, like really good days where you're just feeling incredible and you're being brilliant at your job or your career or your business, and you're communicating really well. Like, what got you into that state? Like, what made you feel that way? Because what the goal is to be able to create that and not have to rely on the gods of good days to give you that good day. It's like, what do I have to do in order to create that? So for me, it's saying good things to myself. It's thinking about and connecting to who I'm, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and who I'm doing it for. It's also making sure that I'm constantly reading something or watching something that's inspiring me. It means that I'm exercising, I'm eating well. There's loads of things that can contribute to how we feel generally, because I've noticed that when I feel great, energy-wise, I eat better, I want to exercise. So it's not just about business, it affects every area of my life, my relationship, my parenting, everything. Like, if I'm in that state, then everybody else is in a better place because I'm in a wicked place. So, it's not just relevant if you own a business or you've got a career. It's relevant in your relationships, it's relevant when you're parenting. So yeah, there was just that I identified those 3 states, and the 3 states for me are numbed out, no man's land, and on fire. And my job is to, hey Vicky, my job is to generate that for myself, to not rely on anybody else to give me that feeling, to not rely on just the God of good days to give me a good day. It's like, how do I generate that energy and that connection to what I'm doing and that fearlessness? Because tonight I feel no nerves. Like, I don't feel any nerves. It feels brilliant. Whereas last week and the week before, I felt nervous. And when I feel nervous, my I was about to say my language flows better as I stutter. Hilarious. My language doesn't flow as well. I don't channel my thoughts as well when I'm nervous, because I'm conscious. I'm conscious about just outside stuff. Whereas when I feel in this state, I feel good and I feel confident. I feel fearless. So that's it. Quick Friday Night Live. And I want you to just recognize and become aware of your states. And where do you spend most of your time? I'd be interested to hear your feedback on that. Like, where do you spend most of your time? What do you notice about? And I would suggest that the middle ground is the place you spend the most time, where you are present, you're showing up, but you're not firing as well as you could. And the thing is that, when you're the fire, you can't get burnt, right? So you're much more likely to do an incredible job. I got that off Tiffany. She was amazing. Tiffany Skirrow. When you are the fire, you can't get burnt. So you're much more likely to do an incredible job. People feel it. Like, people feel your energy when you've got a great energy. So yeah, so just be aware, like, just see where you hang out and think about, you can use those terms if you want to, or you can make up your own, but just like, rather than blindly moving through life, waiting for external circumstances to bestow on you what kind of state you're in, like, how do you actually create your state? And wouldn't it be incredible if you could be more mindful and choose your state on a more regular basis? So if if it's Sunday and you want to completely numb out and watch Netflix all day, you do that by choice, not because you're trying to avoid doing something, or that you're just not feeling great about yourself, so you're going to just avoid the issue and just numb out. Like, being more aware about the different ways you are and the different ways you feel about yourself and how you show up as a result of that is a really, really good thing to do. So that's it. I'm going to go and cook. I've made crispy chili beef. Matt's just watched me make the whole sauce. Very insane sauce. I'll share the recipe. But yeah, it's yummy. So I'm going to go and eat that. Hi, Sophie. Thank you for being on. I'm going to go and eat that, and I will speak to you next week. And if you are, obviously, if you want to join my free group with the Ever Evolving Woman, the link is there, I think. Whichever side it is, you can see the link. Doors are still open to becoming Her the membership. If you want that, you can come and just message me for the link. And I am launching my program Revolution Begin Again on the 7th of September. So if you're interested in that, you can also message me for some info. Okay, have a gorgeous weekend, everybody. I hope the weather's beautiful where you are, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.